What are you doing when you're not punching? What you definitely shouldn't be doing is just standing there waiting to get smacked in the mouth. You need to be actively doing things in between exchanges to make sure that you keep your opponent away, you dictate the pace of the fight, you can set up counters, and you can stop your opponent attacking if you need to. I call this period of movement in between punches default mode. It's the mode that you should always resort to when you're not mid-exchange. We're gonna build your default mode up from ground zero. We're gonna start with the footwork, add feints, add bits of head movement, add lead hand control, add different guard positions, and we're just gonna slowly build it up that way. And then at the end, I'm gonna give you this 5-round drill that you can use to properly build up your default mode so it just becomes natural when you're in sparring or you're fighting. Okay, let's start with the most important thing when it comes to not getting smacked in the mouth, and that is your guard, all right? If you've got a really tight, relaxed guard, then not getting punched is a whole lot easier. Okay, you don't even have to do the movement. So as long as you always, after your punches, you go back to this small tucked up guard like this, where you're rounding your back over and you're bringing your elbows in and resting on your body from the side. You got your chin right near your shoulder. I don't want to mess up the mic, but you got your chin right near your shoulder here, and you got it tucked, your weight's back, and both your forearms like vertical like this, so you can block shots here, or you can come back to here and use the shoulder as a block. If you've got your guard down, then the rest of this will be a lot easier. So I want to make sure you're doing that first. It starts with your feet. Make sure your feet are solid, your ankles are underneath your knees, your shins are vertical, your back heel's slightly up off the ground, your front foot's fully planted and gripping the floor with your toes, and then you just got a hinge in the hips, bend in the knees, and back rounded. Small shape, chin down, looking through your eyebrows, hands high up like this, not where you're pulling the guard in, but where it's relaxed and you just really loose like this. So your arms are just sat on your body as opposed to having to hold them up like this with tension, okay? Now you've got this, then you can start building in the next stage. Of course, the next thing is footwork, but you want to do it whilst you're maintaining that guard, okay? That relaxed guard, staying relaxed. What we want to do with footwork in this default mode is make small adjustments with a range, all right? So not like jumping out far or rushing in too quick. It wants to be small little movements like this. You could take one foot at a time. You could close and then open, or open and close, and you constantly adjust like that whilst keeping your smaller shape, okay? If you're an amateur boxer, then this is where you're going to be moving a lot more. You're going to do a lot more of these small adjustments like this. But if you're looking to go pro or whatever, or you're in a longer fight, then you want your feet a little bit more planted, and you can just do smaller adjustments or less often. Okay, so you don't have to move around as much when the fight's going longer because you're trying to conserve your energy. So these small adjustments with the feet come in 3 ways. 1 foot at a time. Close your stance, then open it with a little skip, or open it, then close it, okay, with like a normal sort of stalking mode like this. It's great if you're trying to initiate an attack to skip this back foot in underneath you. All right, so you're bringing it in underneath you like this as you close the range, because that's where your real range is, all right, is your back foot, because that's what you're throwing your shots off. All right, if you're coming over here, leaving your foot behind, you're not going to be able to throw any good punches here with good power. And you're also getting caught because your head's closer, you're leaning forwards. All right, so again, it's maintaining that stance whilst you're making these adjustments, whilst you're keeping that relaxed shape. Okay, so as I say, we're building this up slowly, but make sure you've got all 3 of those things down first. You can also change angles as well. It's not just going backwards and forwards. I can step to the side, or I can step and pivot around. Can practice pivots, but just small adjustments whilst you're relaxed like this, getting used to moving or making these little adjustments in your guard position, okay? With your weight not coming too far forwards, pushing off the balls of your feet, really relaxed legs, trying to conserve energy. Okay, now what's the next line of defense after your footwork? It's your lead hand, particularly your extended lead hand. So when you extend your lead hand out, that blocks off a whole bunch of punches from coming. Also blocks a lot of sight, and keeps them at range. All right, so you can hold your arm out like this and stop them even coming forwards as long as it's in front of them. Okay, it's leaving you slightly open, which means that you've got to stick to the first couple principles of staying relaxed and staying small in your guard. So when you are in your guard and you're using this lead hand coming out like this, you've got to stay behind this shoulder and keep this right hand or your rear hand high like this. Okay, when I'm using my lead hand, I usually crouch and get a little bit lower so this shoulder can cover more of my head like this. And you're much harder to hit when you're down here than, you know, if I was up here using my lead hand. This is where I'm quite open. So always think round the back, bring the shoulder high, crouch slightly, keep this right hand up, and then stay small. All right, that's the goal. With the lead hand, you've got different ranges. You've got the long range where you're extending your arm out fully. This is just like probing, tapping, touching, finding the distance for the right hand. Then you've got the elbow. You can use your elbow to pin their guard like this, or you can just use it to spin them off that way, or you can use it for loads of different things. I'm not elbowing them in the mouth though, don't do that, unless you're in Muay Thai or something. And then, other than that, it's just keeping this lead hand high or low if you want to use the shoulder at closer ranges, okay? But at those longer ranges, in between your attacks, you're using it to keep them away, stay low, potentially find a way in, or you're using the elbow, okay? So that's how you're using the lead hand in default mode. All right, now we're going to build on to the next layer. All right, the next most useful thing to keep your opponent away in default mode is using feints and draws. Okay, usually feints if you're trying to keep them away, draws if you're trying to get them to attack and then anticipate their attack and counter them. So with feints, nearly fucking threw up that coffee. So let's start from the bottom again. Small guard, rounded back, relaxed shoulders, relaxed elbows tucked in, okay? Then we're using our footwork to change the range constantly, just small little adjustments like this. All right, then we're using the lead hand, getting low down like this, or the elbow. Now we're gonna bring in feints, okay? Now for feints, all I want you to do is 2 movements with your lead hand, okay? So there's loads of different ways you can feint. You can just feint with your shoulder, you can feint with your feet, you can feint with the eyes, you can feint with your hands, and you can combine them all together to make them more convincing. But just for now, all I want you to do is feint with your lead hand, and that's going to be 2 motions. You're going to do a salute up here and a salute down there like this. And when I'm doing a salute, I'm taking my hand from my left temple, and I'm just drawing a little circle like I'm saluting like this, but then I'm going to draw a circle back to my head like that, and I can combine that with a little step of the front foot. So you're doing the step of the front foot and you're doing the little salute at the same time like this. Okay, it's only small and it's twitchy. Your upper arm doesn't move. It's just your forearm that draws this circle. Okay, you want to conserve energy and you want to be able to do it fast, twitchy, and pretty often. All right, if you're trying to make it, trying to make your opponent stop coming in. Then you've got where you're dropping it down. Starts in the same place. You're saluting again, but instead of bringing it up here, you're just dropping it down. And you're looking at the body, stepping your front foot like this, and then you're pushing off this foot and just coming back up to here. So you either go there, or you go there. All right, that makes people bite, brings the hands down like this, drops this rear hand, which means that you can come straight up over the lead hook, or you can come up this way, or you can come that way, or you can pretend you're going to the body and then come to the head. There's a lot of different things that you can manipulate with those 2 different ways of feinting. Drawing, you can put your head in range. All right, so I can put my head closer. I can show a target. I could drop my hands down, or I could drop a hand down, or I could close off one lane by just touching my hand on that person's hand, which means that they're more likely to throw the other one, which then I can counter as they go to throw it. Okay, so there's lots of different things you can do with draws. I'm not going to go too in depth on that right now, but I'm sure I'll make another video about it, so look out for that. Okay, the next layer is moving your head. And head movement doesn't mean that you just move your head. It means that you move your body. So you've got to get used to these 3 planes of movement. First, the hinge in the hips. Second, the rotation of your body this way. And third, the squatting of your legs downwards like this. So I can change my height with this. I can change left to right with this. And I can change in this plane here with the bending of my hips. When I combine them all together like this, all right, now I can move through quite a like large range of motion with my head, okay? But it's all coming from the body. My head stays focused on the target like this, and then I'm just moving my head like that, okay? So now you're going to combine that right from the beginning again. So we got stance is correct, guard is correct, it's relaxed. And what was the first thing? Footwork. So small little adjustments with your feet, pivots if you need. And then you're adding the lead hand in, and you're using some feints. Okay, now you're going to add little bits of head movement. All right, so you're just making yourself just a little bit harder to punch by just going under a couple of times, slipping to either side. Okay, and I'm still combining my footwork in with it. I'm still using the feints. All right, but I'm just making sure now that I'm a moving target myself, so there's even less opportunity for my opponent to attack. All right, this is a bit of the default mode that a lot of people miss, okay, and that's using your jab. Just single jabs. Between each exchange, you should have a series of single jabs that you fire out, which is setting up the exchange. So alongside all the things you're already doing with the feints, moving your head like this, you're also going to add jabs, which is the best thing to keep your opponent away. So imagine put yourself in their shoes, they're thinking about what they're going to do themselves. They might be trying to land their own jab, but as soon as they get caught with a jab that's fast and does a bit of damage as well, then they're completely disorientated and then they lose their plan. Right? This is the whole point of default mode, is to infiltrate their plan by just doing stuff that they don't expect you to do. So therefore their plan won't work because they're trying to think, oh, I'm going to try do this. And then you just start fucking fainting, doing backflips. And they're like, what the fuck do I even do? All right. So that's the whole point of the default mode. But using the single jabs, you want to get off at least 3 in between each exchange. That's what I always say. Just so you're keeping them away and you're showing that you're gonna punch like when they come in, or you're setting them up. You're looking to land your combination because everything comes off the jab. If you land 3 single jabs, right, and then you can feint the jab and then you can throw in any other position. And you could throw to the body, you could throw on the flanks, you could throw on the flanks to the body. There's loads of different things you could do if you can establish a jab and then you can feint it. Okay, so especially when you're throwing the jab to the body, when they're coming in, they're coming towards you and you want them to stay away, just drop down and snap out your jab to the body, okay? Exact same way you twist it to the head like this, with your wrist over and your shoulder coming up, except you're just gonna take a little step, come off the center here, all right, and then you're just gonna twist it down long like this, bring your shoulder up, look down your arm. Okay, so we're just gonna fire off 3 single jabs as well as all the other things we put in default mode. So relax guard, moving the head, feints, lead hand control, and then what's the body, and then mixing it in with all the other things. Okay, that's the next stage of default mode. Okay, so we've ruined their plan with our current default mode. How can we fuck it up even more? We can change our guard positions. There's like 5 different guard positions we got. We've got the conventional one where right hand's a little bit higher than the lead hand. You're looking over your lead hand. Your elbows are tucked in, like we've already talked about. And we've got Philly shell, where you're using the shoulder, you're more side on. Keep your chin tucked. You use this hand, you can use the elbow. You can deflect shots off here, but you can block shots here. You can come under, you can roll under. All right, all those different positions we need to find in the Philly shell. Once you've got those, you can use the Philly shell pretty well. Then you've got the high guard, bringing both your hands up. You can use the bait to the body, bring your head into range, make them comfortable throwing. And then as soon as they're comfortable, that's when you sting them and you counter them. And we've got the long guard. This is like generally pretty Soviet style, but if you're taller, get your rear hand in front of your face here, and your lead hand more extended like this, and then you can just use your straight shots. And when they come forward, you can step back, extend your arm, control them with your lead hand and pivot round. Then you've got the last one, the cross guard, which I wouldn't even recommend doing, but you're just bringing both hands across your face like this, and then you're just stopping shots coming through with your shoulders, your elbows, and your forearms like this. Okay, that's kind of a last resort. If you are like finished in a fight and you just need a bit of a break, that's what I'd use. and then obviously you conserve energy and then come back. Okay, the very last thing is changing your positioning. Okay, there's two different positions you could be in. You could be on the front foot or you could be on the back foot. If you're constantly on the back foot, your opponent's going to adjust to that and they'll come forward more, they'll press you more, they'll get you into the corners, get you on the ropes, and that's where they'll attack. Okay, that's you losing a bit of control. So you can always switch it up, or if you have the ability to, you want to come back up to the center of the ring and you want to be on the front foot now. Okay, so you're switching up the whole dynamic. You're the one coming forwards, you're the one pressuring. And then once they adjust to that and they start trying to counter you as you come in and stuff and land big punches, then you can always ease off and bait them in and go on the back foot again. So switching up, whether you're on the front foot or the back foot, and using the correct ring craft accordingly. So if I'm on the back foot, I'm moving around the edge nice and smoothly. If I'm on the front foot, I'm just using back foot pivots. I'm just cutting off the ring, getting them into a corner and then landing the punches. All right, so switching between those two is the final stage in your default mode. I've pulled this default mode up to #1 priority in my online boxing coaching community. We do it on most of the calls now because it's just so important. Getting the default mode, what to do in between punching is super, super important. And that's what's bringing on the students so much. If you're interested, click the top link in the description, go to hyperwarriorelite.com, sign up if you want my help. Last thing is the drills. Okay, so we've got a 5-round set of drills that you can do, which you can just perform shadow boxing and you can practice building this default mode properly. Okay, so the first round is just going to be spent finding your stance and finding your shape. And once you've got that, we're going to add a bit of footwork, for the rest of the round. So stance and shape, you've got that. Okay, now we're just going to add footwork. We're just going to go forwards and backwards. You're going to change angles, move to the sides. Okay, you're just going to do that for the first round. Get used to moving, making small adjustments whilst keeping your weight back, hips hinged, knees bent, back rounded, small target, looking through your eyebrows. Okay, that's the only thing you need to worry about for round 1. For round 2, you're going to add feints and lead hand control. So that just means extending your lead hand out, using it to keep them away like this, or touch to head and body, just measuring the range with this hand. Okay, and obviously the feints as well, the salute up here and the salute down there. So that's all I want you to do for round 2. Round 2, small shape, keep your stance, footwork, and then using the lead hand and feinting up and down. Okay, that's all you're going to do for round 2. For round 3, I want you to add head movement, which is only subtle, like I said, in the 3 planes: hips, rotation, and knees bending. Okay, you're just going to start adding some slips, bringing the shoulder to the center line, take your head off, keep your chin down here, or you can come back over here if you want to drop your shoulder, hide behind your shoulders, or you're here with your slips, with the rolls, just to bend in the knees, coming down like this. Okay, or using the hips a little bit more, rotation and hips instead of the knees. You can also do that sort of roll. Okay, so round 4, combining everything you've done in the first 3 rounds. Now you're going to add the single jabs we were talking about. So no slow jabbing. It's a twist over of your wrist. Okay, you're not locking out your elbow like this. You're not bringing your elbow out and then locking it out like this. All right, that's going to fuck your elbow up. You want to twist over like this. When you twist over, it saves your elbow because there's all that fascia wrapping around your arm. You want to twist it over like this, and that will save your elbow. Just that twist over your wrist, relaxed arm, just twisting it over like that is also going to get the speed and snap in it, and then pushing off the back foot if you want it extra, or if you want to close the range to the head and to the body. Okay, and then the final round, round number 5, is just going to be you switching guard positions and switching front foot or back foot. So you either claim the center of the ring and pivot round, close off the range till you get them into a center, or get on the back foot, move round, use your pivots and escape. All right, that's how you do default mode with a 5-round drill. So go do the 5-round drill right now. I'm only joking. Do whatever you want. All right, goodbye.